So today I want to talk about an idea I had recently thought of that popped up in a conversation I was having, and it relates to transhumanism and the kind of technological idealism which is vastly becoming the shifting paradigm of our era. The main catalyst which is seemingly driving our successive evolution. Seeing that the transhumanist game Cyberpunk 2077 came out recently, I thought I might as well link it in with that. So in cultures in different parts of the world, we develop over time breakthrough movements in knowledge, which craft the path for development in particular disciplines, which can then affect the society. We also, along those lines, develop stabilising societal structures, which keep the ground from falling within itself, so that the culture has some kind of understanding of what this reality must be. So in the past, for example, we would have the dominance of religion, and that particular focus would then affect everything else in society, whereby religion holds the foundation for other disciplines, and that our societal divergences would at its core be influenced by a rooted foundation in religion. For example, church development in dogmatism would affect a law among the people with something like heresy. Therefore, this would affect something like new discoveries associated to anything regarding knowledge. Hence why the astronomer Galileo was sentenced to life imprisonment by the Roman Catholic Church for heresy, claiming that the Earth orbited around the Sun. So when we think of today, we are living in a time like none before, where the evolution of technology is on the precipice of astounding phenomenon. And this is something which we usually refer to as leading into some kind of transhumanism, how we are to most likely integrate technology into our human anatomy, which over time will completely change our understanding of what reality is, if it is anything at all. With such a grand shift in human nature, what will become of everything else? When a discipline rises above all other disciplines with relation to power and thus unmanifested potential, how does it affect everything else we have come to know and understand right now? The more technology becomes the grand narrative, the more it will be an existential threat to not just human existence as we know it, but to everything else related to knowledge that exists right now. And I think this is when all the knowledge that doesn't parade within the technological empire becomes a social construct. The creation of social constructs, not the identification of them as we perceive them now. If technology becomes the dominating pillar, and if we then exist only within that, then anything outside of it will become historical knowledge, if you will, of the past relating to the pre-transhuman existence. I know this is all potentially a long time away until dramatic shifts really start to occur, or if we even allow them to occur, and it all resembles a bit of philosophical fantasy. But it is something I don't think is often talked about, that such a change in human nature will make facts we understand as true now into post-factual facts. For example, it is common for the general individual to accept biology as a fact in relation to the untampered human, so it would be a common remark to hear the everyday person say that a transgender is not biologically what they intend on being through transition, because you are born either a male or a female. But if transhumanism is an inevitable direction through the evolution of our knowledge within technology, then such a response will inevitably fade away into unimportance, because further on with that premise, transhumanistic individuals probably won't be reproducing humans as we know them now. We will have instead something like manufactured babies. We should be able to use genetics in the future as a technological computer program, so anything is possible down the line. And thus a technological revolution, if you will turn biological objective human truths like sex and gender into post-factual facts, or post-truths, and thus social constructs created by our own making through technological evolution, which refers to the previous human age.
I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs on the medical front, particularly around synthetic mRNA. You can basically do anything with synthetic RNA, DNA. It's like a computer program. So, I think with enough, with effort, that's not too crazy. You could probably stop aging, reverse it if you want. You can basically do it. You can turn someone into a freaking butterfly if you want with the right DNA sequence. So, caterpillars do it.
So eventually, when most things have a technological basis in their structure, which allows for its exponential development, things of the past which did not have that technological Trojan horse propelling it forward will be a social construct in relation to the power of technology, which will be the new life force itself. But not in the way we view social constructs today. These social constructs, from the perspective of the transhumanistic view, will be produced, not identified. It will be the process of turning knowledge into social constructs, knowledge that used to be empirically true into something now false. These things which were believed to be objectively true are developed into being something not true at all, by virtue of transhumanism and the existence of technological foundations across the board to support its own ideal. They all become post-truths. For example, as I said already, gender or sex, and the ways in which we comprehend reality, or the long dream as I prefer to term it. Everything which we knew before, and the ways in which we would learn those things would become social constructs of the past human reality, because the new human reality and human nature would be functioning and based upon a technological evolution that never existed in the past, and thus such a state of evolved reality would only consist in a paradigm shift of what truth would be, and thus truth would have to be related to the transhuman world. Nothing else would be true in that regard because our entire understanding of perception, self, physics and chemistry would be altered and other creations infused. It would go beyond postmodernism, the new evolution which encompasses the entire human system, not just knowledge, into a complete new system of reality of transhumanism itself. With this strange human evolution possible, that is outside biology and within theoretical technology, is it possible to deem it immoral? Evolution mostly refers to the physical biology of a species, and in my view, and you can correct me on this if I am wrong, that there is no exact morality based on good and evil that exists within evolution. The only morality, I think, that exists within evolution is the Nietzschean understanding of master and slave morality, the will to power, the will to live, and that which succeeds within the group or species. But being the species that we are today, we have gotten to the point where we, theoretically through thought and causality, can develop a blueprint for our own evolution in the future. Instead of acting like instinctual animals within the environment, which helps us to enforce our next move within the natural world, we use our reasoning faculty to do so instead. Therefore, this may just be the first time in history in potentially developing and predetermining, if you will, our own evolution. Only a species with the intelligence we have can ever do this, but it all comes down to whether we go ahead with it or not. To me, we as a people, with the development of technology, are enslaving ourselves to it. Transhumanism does not include any part of humanism in its intended definition. I would say that its development and its enforcement through public discovery and usability, which inevitably becomes an attractive affair among the people, is immoral in my perspective, because collectively our level of consciousness has developed weakness because of modern tech itself. A quick example is just seeing how modern technology has caused so much more laziness in people, manufactured procrastination, to use it as a replacement of our physical doing. Technology has gone beyond practicality into a form of idle inadequacy, so why wouldn't we just use it as a general replacement entirely? I think many people would accept this. What if you could switch off your own individual consciousness to enter into some kind of sleeping state and replace it with a sort of mechanistic AI pilot mode replication of existence? I think people would like that. The transhumanistic ideal to me is the human death, in a way, because it is the graveyard for the human. The last archaeological remains of the human won't lay within any grave, that's for sure. There is no value to be gained by the individual in a world such as the one described for the human. Nearly everything could be replaced, and thus, for the individual, there is no will to live when everything in your being has been replaced. So to me, I see it as a devolution from what we already are into a state that has never or will be truly experienced by a human. Evolution is the development of a species in its complete form, but this is not really developing the species, it is making something else, a sort of unconscious suicide. So it's a very deep, crazy, complex possibility, but I like doing videos like this, stretching ideas out, seeing where they lead. It's interesting, and I'm sure there is going to be some very interesting comments of your own views down below, so make sure to post them up and we can get an interesting conversation going. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe, support me on Patreon if you enjoy what I am doing, and join the new Discord server, which I made a few days ago. It's very active at the moment and I think a lot of you will enjoy it. With that said, thanks for watching and I wish you a lovely day.